every police procedural, crime procedural, medical drama, all this stuff. They're just nonsense. They're complete and utter nonsense. I'm not trying to say that they are trash or that they're not dramatic or they're not involving or they're not emotionally compelling entertainment, but we get really confused as a society. And I really am sad about this, about how confused people get about the reality of those things versus what happens when you really walk into a court of law. What happens when you really talk to a lawyer or a police officer or even, a fireman or an emergency medical technician or a doctor, and you go have those very real conversations, or you go into those situations like an emergency room, I've spent many a night, overnight, at LA County emergency room when I was on the RPF. We would, have to go down there and, you spend some time in a real kind of war zone situation, which is what LA County emergency room is like on a Friday night. You're going to see a lot of really unpleasant stuff. And you compare that with what you see on TV or what you see in a movie and how clean and sanitized and sort of worked over the reality becomes. And unfortunately, an awful lot of the YouTube representation of what the cult world is like and what it's like to work in this world is like that. And I've been doing this for 12 years now, so I get to say stuff like that. And I try my best here to do a factual representation of what it's all about. And I try to present, stories and interviews that are an actual reflection of the reality of the situation. And it's not dramatic, and it's not about taking other people down, and it's not about complaining or criticizing other YouTubers. And so there's no drama. And that's one of the problems with my channel and has been for a long time. And I'm not even, so bitter about it in terms of popularity. It's just the reality of the situation, right? It's not incendiary, antagonistic, hostile work. When you're doing work in the ex-cult field and you're doing it right, and I say right, I mean by that, effectively, when you're really helping people, it's calm, rational, chill, compassionate work.